Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are not putting the sill on as much as I said we were, because I have already put the sill on. That's right, as you can see beside me, the sill is on. There is no more silliness. So what are we doing today? Today we need to do something about this. So you're going to be sitting there asking yourself, Nick, what the hell's going on? What happened with the sill? Why is there no footage of that? And what on earth was that you just showed us? Okay, let's answer that in two parts. I came out yesterday with full intentions to film the sill going on, but it was hella windy. The fence panels were rattling, there were leaves blowing everywhere. At one point we had a little squall kick up and the cover knocked over the camera as I was trying to set up a shot. It just wasn't working, but I could work. And so I thought, well, I've already done one video of putting the sill on, which I shall link up there. You know how to do it. If you've seen that one, it was the same. It was fairly standard, straightforward, job done. So that's on to part two. What on earth was that thing you showed us where that hole is? When I started building this car, circa 2003, it was common practice to put a bucket seat in with side mounts and bolt it straight through the floor. A little bit like these holes here. Have a great big washer on the bottom, job's a good one. But it turns out that's not very safe. And the stuff I did on the middle of the tunnel, that wasn't very pretty either. On this side, I had some bent up bits of, it was probably 5 or 6 mil flat bar with some holes drilled in. And I used some angle iron on the other side to get me the position that I wanted to be in. But it's less than ideal. And underneath these holes especially, also a little bit on these, I burned off all the protection, and we know what minis are like when they have nothing protecting them against moisture and salt and road grime. Yeah, that's where it came from. So now I've got to cut those seat mounts out, make some repairs to the tunnel, and then we can put it all back together again. So let's break out the angle grinder and see how bad it really is. To say that on this side, these two horrible lumps of bent up metal here, they actually came off fairly easily. There doesn't appear to be anything bad underneath them. Bit of blistering on the other side of the metal, but you know, I'm quite happy with that. A little bit of flap wheel and a little bit of die grinder maybe, and the evidence of these should be removed, and I can plug up that ugly hole there and that ugly hole there and that ugly hole there while I'm in the process. The other side, however, is going to need more work, considerably more work, because those are not black paint, they are holes to the outside world. So upon the removal of said ugly brackets with what doesn't look to be too bad a welding until you see this part of the floor, it actually doesn't look too bad. It's only when you see it from underneath that you see the peppered holes. Now it could have been treated and maybe patched lightly, but I wanted this out of the way anyway. The biggie apparently was here. So upon cutting along the top and cutting off those two welds, this then fell off and some of the tunnel was stuck to it. So on the underneath you can see there was obviously quite a lot more rust here, which is a shame, but that is the extent of the rust. So I have I say simple panel. It's obviously it's got two elements of curve, one that way and one this way. This one is just a single element of curve, and I should be able to take this ugly lip here off with just a little bit of grinding and a bit of flapping, and that should come off. So I mean, it should be a relatively quick fix, I hope. So I've got to make some custom panel work. Now, long-term viewers will have seen me do this before, but anyone that's new or who hasn't watched back any of the old footage, you will not have seen this. So this is how we make a custom shaped panel with masking tape and a pen. So here you see said hole. And what we're going to do, we're going to get the masking tape, we're going to place it over the top of said hole like this. Then making sure it is as tight as it needs to be, maybe a little extra slack. It doesn't have to be too precise at this point. You draw around the inside edge as best you can. Again, you're always going to have a little bit of variance. But because it's a curve, it's very hard to get a flat piece the right size straight off. This gives you a starting point. Now we take this off and put it on top of a bit of metal. Just stick it on, flatten it out as best you can. Obviously, you can see here I've left a little bit of room at each edge. You just cut a teeny bit bigger along and all around it. And there we have our piece of metal. Now with your template saved for later, because you never know, you could cock it up, make a note of which end is the front. You probably could have done that on there, but I know it was the front, so I'm not so fussed. It goes that way. Now I don't have any special metal forming tools, as you should well know by now. So how am I going to form this compound curve? I'm going to clamp it in there, and I'm going to bend it whatever way I need to bend it, and then I've got some hammers, and I've got a nice big round bit of brass. I've also got a big bit of steel, and I've got a bit of wood. And I've got a will to not spend money on more panels. So let's engage the time lapse and see how this works. So if you compare what was cut off with what I've just formed, actually we're pretty close. There's going to be some tweaking required. You can see the curve isn't entirely uniform at this bottom edge, but that can be rectified. But yes, the joy of thin material is you can form it by hand relatively easily. It's always handy to keep the piece that you cut off as well for comparison reasons. Now, there is obviously a gap where the blade went, but you can see there's plenty of room there to cut around and get that to fit. With a little bit of magnety help and a bit of a wiggle, we can now try said panel in place. You know what? I reckon we can make that work. Let's position it so that minimal of cutting is required. And let's do a slice down there and a slice down there to start with. Time to break out the angle grinder. Now there's obviously a little bit of back and forward to the angle grinder, but you should be left with something that fits a little bit like this. As this gets pulled back in, I can then bend this bit back up. So I think we're pretty much where we need to be. So now it's time to repeat this procedure here. So in goes the magnet, and then we have our piece. If only it will stay where I want it. And back a bit. There we are. So with a little tappity tap, that will be exactly right. It's just on the right side of tight. So once I've cleaned up those edges, that will be ready to go in. And so will this. Right. Let's prep for weld. Now before we break out the abrasive tools and the welder, I just want to say thanks for watching. If you'd be so kind as to hit the thumbs up in that bottom corner, I would say thank you very much. If you are enjoying the build, please follow along, hit the subscribe and follow on for the rest of it. Also, if you've got any tips or any pointers or any things that may help me or anyone else, please chuck them in the comments. I'd love to hear it, love to read it. And then all that leaves me to say is, let's get cracking with the grinding. Yes, I know I blew through here. Chances are I've got my finger on the button for too long and the current's turned up to full blast. Still, I didn't check that. Always check. But for how tight that fits in there, I'm really happy. Slightly bigger gap here, but I mean, for me, that is awesome. Oh, that wind is howling as well. Right, let's get this welded into place. There we have it. This is possibly some of the best welding I've done on this entire car. But I'll show you underneath, but I can't really get the camera down there. It's a bit of a tricky bit, but it actually looks really good from underneath as well, which is always nice. This was less pleasant on this top edge, and what I kept getting as I was welding, you'd get like oily sweat coming back out of the metal. So where this tunnel got oil soaked, because it's a Mini, it appears that that is inside the metal, which is both a good and a bad thing. So I found that if I kept scrubbing it, let it cool down, it would eventually let me weld to it. But yeah, I blew a few holes up here, and it welded so nicely along here. And then I'd already blown a hole in this corner, so that wasn't so great. But up here and along there, no. No. And then it was just, this whole corner here was a bit of a nightmare. And so I let it cool down completely, and went and did that one and came back, and it was still blowing holes. It wasn't heat, it was just a contamination in the metal, and you could sort of just see it sweating out, which is really odd. But yes, really pleased to have them in place. So the next part for me is going to be a lot of flap wheel action to flat down those welds and get everything looking ship shape. I might also spend a little bit of time filling up some of the holes in the tunnel. I just want to get the back part of this car all done, because the next bit involves a custom dash bar. So this is the back side of my flat bulkhead. and it doesn't look all that bad, but there was a Weber box here, and when I removed said Weber box, I'd welded it to this crossbar at the front where the steering wheel mounts, so obviously there's nothing there holding it up. I could put another one of those back in, but I don't really need all of the bits and bobs, so I've got a nice bit of angle that I can put along there so that I can put a dash bar down. I've also got enough of that to go across the top in two parts so that I can create like a flat bulkhead type arrangement, and I'll have something to mount the steering column to. Might need a couple of braces going back to the pedal box area, but that is all in for next time, as is this hole here. That is going to get flatted off because I'm doing an internal gear mount. Are you doing the CAD internal mount? No, I'm not. I'm making my own one, and I've got a couple of design ideas that should make it a little bit interesting, so that there's really no extra slop in the gear stick mechanism, because they are known for being a bit floppy on a gear change. So that's all to come. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Hit the old like button, go and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you on the next one.